This is the aftermath of Oleg Alexander's upset victory over Anthony Joshua. We're just letting you know what the boxing community thinks. So we'll start with George Foreman. George Foreman, former heavyweight champion of the world and also oldest ever heavyweight champion. And he says, saw the Joshua Usyk fight. AJ, he seemed afraid. He lost his identity. Should I be cautious? Go 12. Attack of my power. Usyk, typical southpaw. If you won't hit me, I'll be a ward and hit you. Something's wrong. Not AJ. He took his punishments. Who are you, AJ? So as you can see here, Foreman clearly seeing some sort of identity crisis in AJ and his style. On to John Fury, who the father of Tyson Fury, also a former heavyweight champion. And he says, he was a very awkward man, Usyk. And AJ, obviously, he had never fought anyone like that before. What he did need to do was adopt Derek Chisora's game plan, what he had, because he did a better job than what he did. And I thought, if you use your weight a bit more and had a bit more devil in his work, it could have gone better for him. I was surprised he's a big dude, but weighed 16 stone 9 obese on the night. He might have lost a bit too much weight. What he needed to do was get all over him and put him under pressure and not let him settle. When your plan isn't working, it's up to your corner to switch it up, and they never. They kept saying in the 8th round, be smart behind your jab. It wasn't working because he was in front of a master technician and he played Usyk's game from the beginning and he didn't try and change it. It's his corner's fault. That's Fury's words. So he blames it on the corner more so than AJ. Derek Chisora. So this interview with John Fury was done by Steve Bunce with Chisora and Fury on like a London bus. So Chisora says it didn't work, but it's like this. He had his own game plan, which we don't know, but he came back to box and he wanted to beat him by boxing. Now for me, talking about himself, my game plan was to rough him up. You know, he didn't train to rough Usyk up. I trained to rough Usyk up. You know, it just went wrong way for him on the night. But I do believe the rematch is going to be amazing. It's going to be a great fight. I believe so. Right now, he's so stressful. He's so stressed out right now, wondering how he's going to do in a rematch. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board. So Chisora and AJ are quite close from the same boxing gym. So clearly Chisora's like trying to be supportive and not too dismissive. But, you know, Chisora is clearly saying that I trained to really get at him. I didn't train to box with him. Dylan White. This was ringside. So Dylan White said Usyk was troubling Joshua all the way through. Joshua was very tentative and very hesitant. And look, even now, Usyk is standing up and cheering. Joshua is still sitting down. So Chisora is actually ringside while the fight's being announced, the scores. Joshua didn't fight the way I expected him to fight. Usyk didn't do much. He picked his spots. And Joshua didn't put enough pressure. So once again, we're hearing that AJ looked a bit tentative, identity crisis, whatever. Chris Eubank Jr. is what he said. So he said he's made the biggest statement in boxing for a long time, referring to Usyk. I'm gobsmacked, I'm flabbergasted. I did not see the fight going that way in any way, shape or form. He proved all the doubters wrong. It's only been his third fight at the heavyweight division. He took on the best in the world and he put on a masterclass. Full credit to the guy. So Chris Eubank, shocked by Usyk, but giving him nothing but credit. Then on to Conor Benn. Conor Benn, as you probably know, Nigel Benn's son. He says, I don't know what happened. I'm sure everyone has their opinion. You have all of the armchair boxers. I think the strategy was wrong. I think the tactics was wrong. But then again, that's my opinion. You give a magician room to perform tricks. Usyk is an unbelievable fighter. He's up there for pound. I would say so. But if it was me, out of all the times AJ had come in heavy that night, he should have been the case. Bullied him around the ring, manhandled him. Let him know he's another big heavyweight. Let's set the tone straight away. Go in there and let your threes and fours go. And let him know you're in with a bigger fighter. You're in with a big boy in here. But then again, you can't hit what you can't see. It's one of those things in boxing. It's a funny old game. I said to people, if it goes past round 8, it's any man's land. I don't think anyone's outboxing Usyk, and I can't believe that was a tactic going in. AJ has the power, the speed, the athleticism, the skill set, and the boxing brain to go in there and wrap him up, so to speak. Punch him up, manhandle him. AJ had him hurt a few times. Double up on the attacks. I don't know if he was hesitant and was worried about what's coming back. But then again, with Usyk's movement from lateral movement to up and down, maybe AJ just didn't want to engage because he wasn't confident in any of those shots landing. I don't know what was in AJ's head when he was in there. If it was me, I would have used my weight to my advantage. Look what Chisora did. He left the blueprint. In my opinion, I thought Chisora won the Usyk fight. So Conor Benn, similar to John Fury, saying that he should have waited a bit more, as well as bullied him. Tyson Fury. So he says, I have no real concern about anything other than Deontay Wilder. I've got a mammoth task ahead of me, a very, really dangerous fight. I'm not overlooking that. I'm giving 100% focus, and I don't care who I fight after this. Whoever the next challenge is, is let me get through Deontay Wilder first, and then on Sunday morning you can speak to me as you always do, and then we can talk turkey about who wins the fight next. And quite frankly, I just don't give a damn. He did his job, referring to Usyk, and that's all I know. He won his fight. Good luck to him. There's not too much to express. Did I watch the fight? Yes, I did. Was I absolutely wounded that he won? Yes, I was. I was hoping that Joshua would win the fight, but he couldn't, and that's none of my business. One thing I've learned in life, and I've never been involved in other people's businesses, but I've always kept this nose out of everybody else's business because it's none of my concern. The only thing I'm worried about is beating Deontay Wilder, and that's the most dangerous heavyweight out there. And in my opinion, Wilder beats Joshua, Usyk comfortably, but he cannot beat me. On to Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas, Mike Tyson's trainer as an amateur, also trained Shannon Briggs, Michael Mora, and Timothy Bradley. So basically, Atlas has done like a 12-minute breakdown on the fight. I'm just going to give you a very small snippet. So he says, referring to Usyk, he followed in the footsteps of the greatest cruiser of all time, Evander Holyfield, who was the undefeated like Usyk, and stepped up to win the heavyweight title, which a lot of people did not think he could do, and he was an underdog just like Usyk. People thought he was too small. Now Usyk may also be the greatest cruiserweight of all time. So big accolades by Teddy Atlas. The difference in the fight was Usyk was snapping his jab whilst Joshua was pushing his. When you push your jab, you're telegraphing that you're telegraphing to your opponent you're going to throw your right hand. So like I said, it's a very small snippet, but do check out Teddy Atlas' channel. He gives a really good breakdown on the fight between these two guys. On to Mike Tyson, a really short one. So Iron Mike says, after watching the Joshua versus Usyk fight, maybe they had a bad night. From that performance, do you really think they could have beat me in my prime? And last but not least, one of the best commentators ever, Roy Jones Jr. So Roy Jones says, Usyk, he's not just a boxer. Usyk is an undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world first, and now he's a unified heavyweight world champion. When a guy wins a cruiserweight title is one thing, but to be undisputed and go through the tournaments and go through the fight in the best of the best, they're all in the basket, and Usyk came out on top with no black eyes, no knockdowns, no nothing. He dominated the cruiserweight division, and there are some real monsters in that cruiserweight division. This told you that he has to be freaking good. Now, Joshua won a heavyweight Olympic gold after a short time in boxing. However, Usyk won a light heavyweight gold after a long time in boxing. So he definitely has the experience advantage coming into the fight. Roy said a lot more. I'm just giving you a small snippet. He then wanted to say, this is exactly why Canelo lost to Mayweather. You don't go out and box a boxer when you're bigger than him. Are you crazy? You can't write off Joshua in a rematch because he won rounds 4, 5, and 6 clearly. And that's how he should have fought rounds 1, 2, and 3. So that's the thoughts from the Boston community. Once again, shout out to Alexander Usyk. A gargantuan effort, taking on a bigger guy, a heavyweight guy, on his own home turf. There seems to be a trend where some guys are saying AJ should weigh more, and some others saying he fought the wrong fight and he should have, went in for war rather than try to be over technical. But Usyk, very exultant in his mannerism, great celerity in his movement. And yeah, let's see what happens with the rematch. So we got Fury versus Wilder next, and then after that, I think February, March, we're looking at Joshua Usyk. If Joshua takes it, do you think Joshua will go through with the rematch? And if so, do you think he'll get a new trainer? Please comment below. This is MSLB, Mark Sternline's Boxing. Bless.